What's up, man? It's your boy Lou Dizzle. I'm very excited today. I've got the AVIC 8100NEX head unit that's going to be getting installed in my car today. I've had the unit for about a week now. Trying to find someone that can help me install it. Now with this head unit, you know, it was a difficult decision for me because it's such a nice head unit. I've got a brand new car that's it's a lease, which I'm probably just gonna buy it when the lease is up. But anyways, I was real tempted to tear the car apart and wire up the head unit myself because I was having such a hard time finding someone to help me. But you know, I just didn't want to. I wanted a professional that does this day in and day out, so that way not only will the install be a little bit better because they're more familiar with the factory car wires, etc., but I can spend my time filming the process. So I'm on my way to Spring Hill, Florida right now, and from Fort Myers it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So today it'll be about a 5-hour round trip to get this head unit installed, but I've been very anxious to get it put in, and it's just been sitting there looking at me. So I'm on my way now. I'll check in with you guys once I arrive, and you guys. Man, it's your boy Lou Dizzle. Just got here in Spring Hill, Florida. Working on getting the head unit and the backup camera installed. So this video is going to be a little bit of a how-to also. If you're either installing this head unit or you have an Optima or both. So I'm going to show you the parts that you need to have in order to put the double din in this model car, and we're going to go through the steps too of how to dismantle the dash and wire in the steering wheel controls. So what we have here is we have the harness to wire up the double din head unit here, and the good thing about this harness is it's pre-wired for this, which is the steering wheel control. So there's the model number for the Optima, or if you have a Hyundai, it looks like that works too. And there's the ASWC1. This is the dash kit model number you need. It's let's focus there a little bit. There we go. 95-7359B. So those are the three things you need to wire it up to the Optima. We've got the head unit stuff out here. It's the 8100NEX, and this is the dash kit, the pieces that come with it. These metric kits, they come with the dash assembly for your car, so it does help make it a little bit easier, just in case you're unsure. All right, so those are the sides of the dash kit. It's real simple. It comes with screws, just screws into the side of the head unit there. And this is the trim plate, in essence, that goes over it. But this stuff here obviously gets attached inside the dash. So that's what it looks like with the sides on it. Alright, so we're going to kind of show you how everything comes apart. In a nutshell, with this car, it basically all starts at that side panel there. You just kind of pop it off and you start unscrewing screws. So let's see, how's the light looking? There we go. Alright, so those top two screws, and just kind of work your way over.
This is to pop down. Taking this car apart, have you?
No. Yeah, no, that has not been touched yet. It's been unadulterated.
Everything's all tight.
Yeah.
Well, this has got to go down. There.
Alright, So that piece just basically pulls out there once those screws are undone. Another screw there. I think that stays in there. I think it just starts popping around the bottom.
I'm pretty sure this comes out. Yeah. Yeah, that thing pops out and then I start working on this piece.
Gotcha.
Got the screw out. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, lots of screws. So basically these panels are kind of designed this way pretty much for anti-theft, right? In order to get it out, you gotta like dismantle half of the dash.
If you're gonna steal the radio out of this car, you're gonna need a friend that knows what they're doing. Yeah, that's out. That's out. Keep working that way across the steering wheel. This pops open off of
Yeah.
There's a trick to getting this piece off.
If I remember correctly, the right side there, it's got to come off because that, yeah, that part by the key, yeah. So like that part comes down. I think there's a screw in the lower right-hand corner there, right? Yeah. And then once that comes off, then it kind of comes down, and the part by the key, yeah, more screws are exposed once that comes off.
Yeah, definitely put those two in the beginning of this conversation. That'll make this part a hell of a lot easier. These are like oh shit clips.
All right, so that's the under dash there, kind of taking the wires out from under it. Once you get the screws out of it, it just kind of pops out, but you got to be super careful with it. So of course nothing breaks, but that's how you get to it. And then now under there, we've got access to some screws here. Let's see here if we can. All right, so where was that one at? All right.
One more up here.
All right, so that one's obviously got to come out.
Only place to get it.
All right, so the advice from installer is when you start taking this trim piece off here that has to come off, he said this corner right here is where you want to pop it off so you don't, you know, mess anything up. You don't want to start at the top. Start at the bottom there, and then just really slowly kind of pry it out from there so you don't break anything. And that piece, when you're looking at it, I mean, I thought that myself too. I was like, that probably pops right off, but to start at the lower part is where you gotta go.
Proceed on with these
Zillion screws. Can you tell this guy does this on a daily basis, like breezing through this? This probably would have taken me an hour just to get to this point. That's one of the reasons why I reached out for a lifeline. Trick is too, not dropping them screws in the dash. It's a pain to fish down in there. It looks like all of those screws are the same so far, though. That's a thing of beauty, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. You don't have to go changing heads 16 different times.
All right, so that trim piece pops out once you have the bezel.
And this is your last.
We got another screw there, and I think there's another one under there too. Oh, looky, we finally get to see the guts. Look at that, man. This guy made short work of that. Like 10 minutes later, most of the dash is apart. That's the part I would have had the hardest part with. This actually isn't too bad because it looks like you just unscrew those there, those guys there at the top. Let me focus in on that. So we got those guys and the one on the side. And I mean, we're already looking at having the factory head unit out here like 15 minutes in, so pretty excited about that. So I'll come back to this once we start doing the wiring. All right, so the harness is all wired up. It's pretty neat, zip tied, taped, and all that. So why don't you tell us what's going on there, because there's a lot.
All right, basically what we did from what you saw of the pile of wires before, everything is pretty much color coded for the most part, and if you get stuck, there's a little piece that you can look up that will literally label each one of these wires and tell you what it does. Amongst putting all this stuff together, or after putting all this stuff together, should I say, I always do what I call a soft run. I plug this into the vehicle, this into the radio, make sure I've got sound, make sure I've got remote turn on, you know, everything should be working the way it should be working. Before you complete an install and put the dash back together, these are all good things you're going to want to know. For example, the directions tell me that the green and purple wire is supposed to be the reverse on this harness, but they don't always work. This is a data module. There's data. Things go wrong. So at this point, my option is right here. A 12-volt power source coming directly from a reverse light. You can catch this in the kick, or you can go right to the light. That's up to you. Depends on your skill level or your patience. Either or. Same thing with the camera. I got this attached to a ignition source. The camera is going to go to a ground off into the kick, and then the video signal is going to go straight back to the back of the car for the backup camera, but that's also integrated into this harness as well. This is for factory auxiliary retention, which we're not going to be doing, and this is the steering wheel control module that comes pre-wired into this. If you did not get the part number for that one, if you did not get this part number and you got the regular non-amplified harness, you're going to have to wire the steering wheel controls in without having them pre-wired. That's a whole nother story. We can talk about that later if you want. Otherwise, plug the box in. On a Pioneer, you're going to plug this right into the back of the radio. There's a plug in the back of these radios that say W/R, stands for wide remote. Plug that into the back of a Pioneer. If you have a Kenwood, you will see a wire that comes in the box with the steering wheel controls. There's two wires on it. Cut the brown and white and use just the brown for a Kenwood. Other than that, you know, make everything as clean and tidy as you can. That's the best advice I could give you for troubleshooting issues. It makes a hell of a lot easier than digging through a rat's nest.
What was that little circle thing that you turned on the harness?
There is a potentiometer, excuse me, right inside here. If you notice that you plugged it in, you turn up your radio and you have no output. It is an amplified system, so this will allow you to adjust almost like a line level converter, something to that effect. Just basically output. You never want to have to turn your radio up turn your radio up all the way to get peak performance out of it. So this will allow you to have a balance between the two pieces of equipment and not overdrive one versus the other. Nice,
like gain structure.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so the dash is apart already. The harness is done. So now he's kind of working on the backup camera, because in my car The factory one not only stopped working, which doesn't make sense, car's not even a year old, but the factory backup camera is not going to work with this head unit, and once you have a backup camera, you get used to it, and it's just a nice feature to have. So I would assume we're going to go get this thing, get the harness plugged in, and then probably start working on the camera. Alright, so for the backup camera, that's where the factory one used to be there. And you know, bringing this to someone who installs all the time, it took them 5 minutes to get it out. Let's see if you can get up in there. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, it just kind of popped right out of there. So the current little task is to get a piece of ABS plastic to just kind of secure it to there to cover the hole to mount the Pioneer backup camera right there and wire it through the car. Making great progress. Alright, so just a little update in the process. As you can see, everything's completely torn apart, but we're making fabulous progress. The backup camera doesn't look like it's going to be as big of a deal as it originally looked. Got the old one popped out. Quick little piece of ABS plastic, mounted the camera to it, got everything back on. Piece of cake. It's kind of funny, some people quoted me like 2 hours to do that backup camera. They let me show that part there. Like this, like these little screws just popped off here, no problem. Look at that. It's a Pioneer backup camera. Mounted, perfect. Took like 20 minutes. Got the wire here. Oh man, I'm so bad right now. I feel bad. I got all kinds of crap in my trunk, but there's the wire. He's got the trim panels out on the bottom of the floor to run the wires there. Those just pop off if you're going to do the same thing. Just be gentle with them to not break the clips, but they just pop right out. So everything's apart, but I would say it's like more than halfway done. The harness is good. Doing the camera stuff. There's some stuff that's got to get ran down the side here, because I'm going to have the two USBs for the USB stick and the Android Auto running out the right side there and just coming up in between the seat here, and also the HDMI is going to get connected to the back of the head unit, and it's going to run to this pocket here in the back of my seat, because that's where the laptop's going to go. Eventually down the road I'll get a power inverter, so that way the laptop, you know, can always have power. But for now, I mean, my laptop lasts a little bit over 2 hours, so you know, that'll be just to play around with. So all right, I'll update you guys when we're a little bit actually closer. Ran into a problem. We have the steering wheel controls over there, which will make the volume go up just fine, but the volume down doesn't work, and it's using like the phone button to go down. So something to look into. I'm probably gonna do the iLink Maestro, which kind of gives you more control over the head unit anyway. So yeah, on a side note, I wouldn't recommend getting the Access steering wheel control for this car, because, you know, you don't really program them. They're just supposed to work. And
this is not the first car that I've actually had this issue with the steering wheel controls. It's being that it's all data, and you honestly are, with this particular vehicle, probably better off going with the iData Link Maestro RR for, if nothing more, for seamless integration. But the fact that you can pick up a bunch of OBD features that you weren't able to get with this, like tach, speed, tire pressure sense, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But,
yeah, so, you know, it's all part of the process of figuring it out, and this is another reason why I'm glad I took it to someone that knows what they're doing, because this would have frustrated the daylights out of me, thinking I did something wrong, and it's just, you know, this is how it works. So, all right, well, I'll check back in with you when we have everything back together. Hi, man, it's your boy Lou Dizzle.
Jester.
From what? Jester Designs is what you really kind of want to promote, right?
Yeah, Jester Designs. Thomas Terulli. I'm on Facebook, Florida Baseheads. Everywhere you see me, watch for me at Spring Break Nationals. Team Deadly Hurts, and a friend of Lou Dizzle.
Yeah, definitely, man. Came through in a clutch, man. I hooked this man up with like a 12-pack of beer, basically. And he basically hooked my whole car up, which, you know, other people quoted me like $250. Real nice guy, too. Did a kick-ass job. So for the install, I'll probably go with the Maestro to get the you know, the full control of the car and all that stuff. But yeah, backup camera's working. Everything's dope. It's like 45 degrees out here. We're shivering out in the shop. So yeah, I really appreciate you helping me, man. Came
Not
through
a
like
problem.
a clutch. So
Not
it's
a
your boy
problem.
Lou Dizzle and Jester signing out. Install's done.